Recording in progress.
Okay, am I going? Good evening, good evening. I'm just going to get started here. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Willie A. Price, and Willie A. Price Speaks, and I just want to welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome to the second observance of World Day of the Boy Child. And this is a special forum that we're bringing to you today to kick off that observance. First, we would like to welcome all of our speakers and all of you who are joining us from all over the world. This year, 2022, we are being observed by more than 25 countries around the world. That is a great work of just 2 years to be now in 25 countries around the world. So we're being observed by more than 25 countries. So give yourself a round of applause for just joining us today. And here we go. We're going to get into this. Before we start the discussion, we would like to take a brief moment to just introduce you to the Voice of Men, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information about them and about the Day of the Boy Child. First of all, Voice of Men is a nonprofit organization which was founded in 2020. Well, I'm sorry, where am I? Yeah, 2020, and is based in Toronto, Canada. Voice of Men or 360 organization was born out of seeing a tremendous need for boys and men in society. Voice of Men 360 stepped up to support and help them in many areas of their lives. And so for the observance of World Day of the Boy Child, which is taking place on May the 16th, which is tomorrow. So this is why we're kicking off this event today. World Day of the Boy Child is celebrated worldwide every year to recognize and support boys who improve and support the world, their families, and the community. World Day of the Boy Child follows 10 core principles, and I'm not going to go through the 10 principles right now, but I am going to talk about some of them as we go through our discussion with our panel tonight to see how they fit in with some of the discussions of where are we going. And the theme, and I'm just going to finish up with the theme for this year's 2022 theme is boosting optimism, restoring self-worth. So boosting optimism and restoring self-worth. That is the theme for 2022. So now that I've done my little introduction there, again, my name is Willie Price, and I would like to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to introduce our panelists. Again, my name is Willie A. Price, Willie A. Price Speaks, and I'm an author. I've created 17 different books from Black history to real estate to financial literacy for youth. And then we do physical, personal, financial development workshops and trainings for youth all over the country. Right now, we are doing some things in the U.S. with our programs to help young men prepare and young ladies prepare for success through our what is called a run, jump, and throw program. And so we're doing that right now in the community. And so that's basically me in a nutshell. I don't want to talk about me because I want to talk about this great panel that we have here before us today. And we're about to get into this. So I'm going to introduce you to Mancil Bell, and I'm going to let him tell about who he is and what he's going to bring to the table tonight. Good evening, Mancil. You got to unmute
Yeah,
yourself.
there we go. Yeah, I hit it twice. My bad. Awesome. Thank you for that introduction. I'd just like to stay humble here and just say I'm probably not as qualified as everyone to be here. I'm just privileged to be here. I'm speaking as a leader of Men of the North. It's an organization based out of Saskatchewan, like Verunge. And what we do is we try to do exactly what Voice of Men does, but we also try to keep it aspects of spirituality there. Even though I'm very different from the community here, I have a Cree wife and a half Cree child, so I'm learning the ways of the community, and I'm helping to bring spirituality, mental health, and just general positive behavior to the community. And that's me.
Okay. And I'm going to come to you next in a second, Antoine. I just actually have a question for Mancil. You said you have a child, but you didn't say, is it a boy child or is it?
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful 2-year-old, half Cree, quarter black, quarter white daughter.
Okay.
To a beautiful tri-racial baby.
All right. Okay. And next is Antoine Thompson. Antoine, talk to us.
Oh, thank you very much, Willie. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. My name is Antoine Thompson, of course, and I've been coaching and mentoring young people for 37 years, primarily through the sport of basketball. But I started a nonprofit organization called JLT Fieldhouse, which is named after my late father. And our mission is coaching and mentoring the leaders of tomorrow. And I also am the owner of Coach T's Corner, which is an online mentoring academy that's designed to educate, support, and inspire preteens and teens in their personal growth and development and personal relationship development, and to empower them to use those skills to build a more prosperous future. And this is done by building their soft skills that are readily not being taught in public schools today. And I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. We're going to be joined by some other guests later, but we're going to go back, and I just want to ask a question about you guys. When I hear some of the things you're saying that you're working in some of the organizations. Oh, Wane just showed. There's Mr. Wane. Okay, Wane. So we're going to introduce Wane. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to go into some more information about some of the things you're doing as well on the panel. You got to unmute yourself, Wane.
Yes. Good morning, that side.
Good morning. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Wane.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Wane Rusagara. I'm an entrepreneur, change maker, filmmaker, living in Uganda, Nakivale Refugee Settlement. I'm a founder, CEO of Changia Africa Center. Changia is a refugee social community organization development, which is dealing with children and boys education. I'm very proud and thankful to be part of this meeting today. Thank you.
Good to have you. Thanks for joining us. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to jump right into our first question here. And you guys sort of gave me some of the information already, but I want you to go again. We're going to have you share a little bit more about your organizations and what you do. And I may even share a little bit about mine, because this is like a good question here. So who are you serving, and what is your target for working with your group? So for Mancil, so who's your target market, and how are you working with them? What kind of things are you doing with them?
Yeah, so with Men of the North, we primarily focused on us men, the ones that lead the families, the warriors. That's how we often describe ourselves, right? And with Men of the North, we have these group sessions. From what I can tell, Voice of Men also has these similar group sessions where us men gather together and we speak our truths. We speak from our hearts. And we'll cover topics such as abuse or maternal love, all aspects of who we are, what makes us men, right? And as a leader, I'm often writing or speaking directly to these men and speaking from my heart, speaking my truth. Because, I suffer from depression, I suffer from anxiety, and that's something that a lot of us can't talk about so openly, right? But with Men of the North, we are trying to get men like myself to positions where we're able to present, we're able to be leaders. So I see myself as a leader of this group and one of many leaders. And I see myself as a leader in my community now because of what we can do and what these group sessions, these group therapy sessions can do.
Now, what community is that? What community are you working?
Well, I'm part of Lac La Ronge.
What community is that, Mancil? Where?
Yeah, Lac La Ronge. I'll spell it out.
Okay.
But it's based out of Saskatchewan. 2 hours north of Prince Albert, 3 hours north of Saskatoon.
Yes. So this way, if people are interested in there in your area, they'll know where to find
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Yeah. Every Monday, if you're in our community, come out and you'll experience something different. You know, these group sessions, they work. A lot of men, they come in, defeated, but when they leave, the stigma of these therapy sessions are broken. This
Great.
completely helps.
All right. Antoine, talk to us. Tell us a little bit about your program and what is your target market and what are you doing different or what uniquely with your group?
Yes. So our target market is, and I'll just mention real quickly, I'm on the East Coast of the United States in North Carolina, about 40 miles north of Charlotte. So I just wanted to share that. So we work with primarily middle school and high school boys and girls. And our nonprofit is, like I mentioned before, is a basketball coaching and mentoring organization. And what we do is we do what I call the life sports comparison. What we teach in sport carries over to what the kids will utilize in real life, which is responsibility, accountability, how to communicate with not only adults, but with their peers, and also about also the conflict resolution process when dealing with conflicts. And that carries over to my Coach T's Corner, which is when having a lot of conversations with kids in the nonprofit, found out there are a lot of soft skills that they're not really comfortable with and understand, and primarily because of this technology age that we're living in. So it gives us an opportunity to have them expressed with us and help us grow their understanding of personal accountability, personal responsibility, and also setting goals for themselves, both short-term and long-term. Because a lot of kids have no idea what they're going to do, but they also don't know how to start to build and set their goals. So those are the things that we help them with.
That's nice. And I'm glad I asked everyone where they're located because I did not think you were. I didn't know you were in North Carolina, Antoine. I didn't know where you were, but I was.
If I could interject, I'm from North Carolina, and I moved up to L'Orange. I moved from North Carolina to L'Orange. Yeah.
What part, if I may ask, real quick?
I'm from Hempstead.
Okay.
So, Surf City, that area. Yeah.
So Wane, tell us about your target market and some of the unique things you're doing with your program and with the people you're working with. You got to unmute yourself, Wane.
Sorry,
Okay.
can you please, yeah? As I was said, the Changiya exists as a refugee social community development. And our idea in Changiya is to help the most vulnerable of SGBV to promote education, to promote child education, to promote human rights, fighting for humanitarian traffic. We are working on peace building and poverty eradication of child, of orphans. Then we also focus on the positive mindsets for vulnerable women and boys in the settlement, because we have a big number of street kids, street kids in this refugee camp. Due to the lack of parents, some of parents are already dead, others they lost their parents, and we came together as Changiya to say that we can do something like education to educate those boys to have a little education. Then we open a school for Changiya, nursery and primary school, where we can afford to follow up with their education. I think with the strategies which we took, we are progressing slow by slow. By God's grace, we shall achieve, even if there is some challenges, but we keep up.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Sounds like a great program. And I just want to share a little bit about my program. I just started a nonprofit organization. We were doing workshops in the schools. And so what we did was we started a nonprofit called A Better You Lifestyle. And a Better You lifestyle is all about physical, personal, and financial development, which is what I heard Antoine talking about earlier, working with young people. And one of our focuses, we work with boys and girls, like like Antoine does, boys and girls up from ages 11 to 24. But primarily middle school and high school is what our target is. We try to catch them early. And one of the things that we use that makes our program so unique, we use what is called right brain learning, where a lot of our kids in the schools, you know, especially boys, you give them a textbook or you give them something you to write, and some of them you've already lost. As soon as you say write it down or read the book. So what we do in our programs is we use audio books, we use video, and then for presentations, we do public speaking. So it takes those fears away from, you know, what they're normally reluctant about doing, reluctant to write, they're reluctant to read out loud. But if we all know, if you play a song for a kid and the kid likes the song, he can recite those words back to you, that whole song of curse words and everything. So by being able to show them a video on history or whatever the video is, or audio books, and then asking them questions about it. And of course, they can tell you what they heard and what they saw. But if you were to ask them to write it down, that's where the problem comes in. So we try to take that fear away. And then what we do, our key component is we do financial literacy. One of the first things we do when we walk into class is we say, how many of you guys would like to be rich? How many of you guys would like to be wealthy? And ask them, do they know the difference? And then we go into introducing entrepreneurship, savings, introduction to real estate. This year we introduced franchises, and then we do introduction to the stock market. So these are things that we're teaching. And when you show young people, that's what we found, especially with our boys, they want to help be a provider to their families. They want to help out with the family. That's why some of them turn to the streets, because that's the only way they see how to, you know, help out with the family. By giving them these opportunities, we're showing them how to start their own business. We do show them how to do a lawn care business, whatever, you know, how to invest your money, how to save your money, how to invest in the stock market. And now you've given them another resource away from the streets, and it motivates them to get more involved in the program as well as in the classroom, because now they see the importance of being able to read if they have a contract, or knowing math in case they need to, you know, somebody say they're going to give them 10%. That's the question we say. Well, if they're going to give you 10%, you need to know what 10% is of whatever that amount. So now you showing them why they need to know math. You're showing them why you need to work on your reading, because you're going to give them a contract. And you always bring those things up. You never say, well, you need to know how to read or need to know how to write. You say, well, what if you have a contract in your business? You need to know what that contract says, which is basically you need to know how to read it. You know, and if they say they're going to give you 10%, you need to know what 10% is. And so now when they go back into the classroom, they know why they, you know what I mean? Now they know why they need to do those things without, you know, because people always tell them you need to read and write, and that's what it is. So that's a lot about my program. I get excited about like programs like this and talking about how everybody's working with young men. And this is, like I said, that's a big thing for me. So as you can see, you know, we do a lot of things with our program, and that's great that you guys are doing so many different things. And I would love to collaborate with you guys after the show and see how we can work it out. So let's go to our next question. What are some of the problems that you're seeing, not only with the young men, but in implementing your program? So Mancil, we're going to say, what are some of the problems that you're seeing with the young men and how you're implementing your program? Are you seeing any problems, or, you know, what are your progresses on it?
I'm going to speak from my point of view, like my life point of view at first, and then I'll progress into my community. But I was born in Colorado, lived in Alabama, then moved to North Carolina. And then living in Alabama, I just saw such horrible racism and just this lifestyle that was trying to put me down for being half Black and half white. And then moving to North Carolina, where it was very distinct cliques of white versus Black, and then I would just never fit in, right? So growing up, I always saw this, there was no unity in just general life, no matter where I went. And then moving to L'Orange, just exploring and trying to find my life, I ended up settling down here. So like I said, I'm married, have a wife and kid. And being such a diverse family, it's going to be a challenge trying to help my kids, my sons, my daughters understand that we have to come together, and we have to, these organizations, we have to be the change we have to see. With Men of the North, we're targeting men to young boys. It's just, that's what we have to target, right? And specifically in our community, it's slowly falling apart because of drugs and just the system racism based upon the native people, right? And you can easily switch the term with African Americans, right? The indigenous to African American to Asian born Americans. It's very designed to keep us down, all of us, no matter what race. And that's what we are having trouble with, is trying to get these young boys active. We're trying to get the attention into, well, not into, we're trying to get attention for young men to join us, right? So that's what we're struggling with, is Men of the North, is we're trying to understand and kind of have a wide range, trying to capture all of the attention, all of these people, and bring them in. Oh, you're muted.
That's great. You know, and that's good that you're doing that up in that area. And I'm gonna share something with you when we get through the rest of the group talking about the racism. Antoine, so tell us, what are some of the problems that you're seeing and how are you addressing them?
Well, if I may, well, thank you. First, I like to use the word opportunities as opposed to problems, because I like to see the positive aspects of everything that we're facing with all of the topics we're talking about with young people in today's society. So the opportunities for me is a lot of kids that we deal with, what we find is they're not being appreciated for their knowledge, for their creativity, for their innovative thought processes. There's so many adults that are trying to direct, lead, and guide them in certain directions without taking the time to listen to what they want and what they want to achieve. And then once we listen and find out what they want to achieve, that better puts us in a position to help them. So that's one of the things that I see as the opportunity for what I'm working on with kids and what we're trying to focus on doing with them. The other part is, and this is the slippery slope for all of us and what we're trying to achieve. And I always preface with each parent that I work with and each child, I'm not trying to replace parents. I'm trying to be a support to them, because my tagline is to educate, to support, and inspire. That's to educate kids, support parents, and inspire kids. So to me, that's the other challenge that comes along, or opportunity that comes along, is to let parents know, hey, we're here to help you, help your kids be where they want to be. But we all have to take a step back, listen, not judge, and be compassionate and authentic in what we share with them. Because once we share with kids our authenticity of some of our failures and things that we've gone through, they realize that, hey, I can make mistakes and then bounce back and still be successful. Thank you.
Great, great, great. Wane, tell us something about your program and some of the problems you're facing with the boys or with implementing your program, if any. Hello? Wane? Huh? He went out. His screen went out. I'll wait for him to come back in. And while can you guys hear me? Nod your heads if you. All right, great. So I just want to share a little bit about, you actually, Mancil, you talked number 5 on our core principles, addressing discrimination against boys, and discrimination in general. And that's something that's, people don't think about, especially with boys. Boys are supposed to be strong and you fall and get back up and those kind of things. One of the things we actually just did in February, and I'm going to share this with you because it may be something you might want to try. We did an event called Pulling the Race Card. And it was a discussion where we brought not only just local residents, but we brought community leaders and politicians and everybody together to talk about racial diversity and how we can overcome a lot of the racial issues that they may not even realize that are out there. And what we did was there was a group of sisters, and I have 2 different decks, a group of sisters that created this deck of cards where it has these different questions, just, general questions on racial topics and issues. And what it does is it allows you to put a question out there and just allow people to answer the question in their point of view and get feedback from others. Because a lot of times people don't realize that something they're saying or something they're doing is racially divisive. You know what I mean? And so by hearing it, they'll respond, oh, I didn't realize that. Or, like same thing, like you're saying about how you're a mixed race or I'm Black, and there's certain terms that we might use among each other, but we don't want somebody else using that term. But if you think about it, Italians have certain things they use that they're not going to allow you to talk about. Polish people have certain terms they call each other that they're not going to allow, you know what I mean? So we don't think about that a lot of times. And so this program, pulling the race card, and I'll share some information with you guys later off the show if you want, on how to implement that. And like I said, we do this program. Now we're moving it into the schools. So you made me think about that with your issue up there, Mancil, how I can help you and get you the information to get a deck of cards and be able to work with, help you to address that situation there. Is Wane back yet? Wane, are you back with us?
Yes. Hello.
All right, Wane, I'm going to have you give us a little bit about your Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw it pop on. Okay, I'm going to come to Courtney next because I'm going to have him introduce himself and give a little information. So go ahead, Wane. You're going to go next, and then I'm going to go to Courtney. Wane? We can't hear you. All right, Wane, we're going to come back to you again. Courtney. Going to mute yourself, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit here. Courtney, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I think Wane's back on now. Wane, can you hear everyone? Yeah, your mic is still muted somehow. You're not broadcasting.
Yeah, we can't hear you. So Courtney, while he's trying to figure that out, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and we're going to go some of the questions. And what is your target market and who do you serve?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Savan for inviting me. I was not able to get on right at the start. I did mention to Savan that I'd come on around 1:30 or so, and here I am. My background, my name is Courtney Carroll. I'm a principal with the Toronto District School Board. I've been in education for about 28 years or so. Prior to that, working with the youth in Parks and Rec, YMCA, and serving in a number of, not foster cares, but group homes. So I've been in education for a while. Grew up here in Toronto, born in Jamaica, raised there, started my education there, but pretty much all my education has been here in Toronto. Outside of that, I've got a passion for financial literacy. I believe it's important that students, young people, really get a strong financial foundation under them in order to be able to live life to the fullest. And so I penned a book in 2012 called The Financial Fitness Blueprint. And now I'm also a mortgage agent where I'm trying to help, young adults get into the market, understanding that home ownership is one of the best ways to secure a financial future and create some wealth for themselves. So that's really me in a nutshell. I do have the questions that were asked, but if I'm going to ask you, Willie, if you can just kind of point me in the direction of what you want answered. I know you asked me what my target audience was, but.
Yeah, I was asking you, who is your target market and where am I? Who is the target market, which is sort of what you told me, which is kids and financial literacy. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And what are some of the problems that you're seeing when trying to address your target market, and where are you seeing some of the problems or some of the advantages that you're having?
Well, let me first start talking about not financial literacy. Let me talk about just literacy, as a basis for moving our families and our communities. I've been in the education system for a long time, like I said, and we know that COVID has had an impact on everyone, social, emotional, psychological. There's been a huge impact on how our students are approaching schools. But even prior to COVID, just looking at the educational system in itself, youth, especially when it comes to literacy, what I've seen over the years is a decline in the level of interest and in the level of academic achievement in many young people. And I wonder whether or not that is somewhat attributed to just living in a society where it's all about, the next shiny thing. We find that students are very, very, they lose focus quite quickly. And we're growing up in a society where everything is instantaneous, where there's so many distractions around gaming, around, trying to just give them different things to engage them or keep them busy. And so in the school system, what I've seen in my school specifically, is that the foundations for reading and writing that you would think that is, in partnership with the school is not often there at home. And so by that, I mean, we expect students to come and we expect students to be able to read and write and leave that all to the school system, but never works that way. Many of us can think about when we were kids, a lot of what we did was wrote, whether it was math, whether it was writing, whether it was reading, we were reading at home. And I think the way things are set up right now with families struggling financially, families struggling and just always on the go, there's not enough time being spent with kids at home. And we can say as adults in the home that, they need to read, that they need to learn to write, but kids need guidance. And more than that, they need modeling. And so if in my family, I'm not modeling the importance of reading, picking up a book, that kids can see that this is a valued skill set in my home, then they're not going to do it. Because a lot of our students right now, let's be honest, they kind of go home and the TV is their thing, the gaming is their thing, but academics is not really being pursued or pushed. And many parents are not modeling those skill sets for the kids. So those are the challenges I see. Some of the good pieces I've seen is, when we find things that engage our kids in education, that there is a greater enthusiasm for learning. And one of the things we've been looking at this year is culturally relevant resources, things that allow them to see themselves reflected in the curriculum. I'm speaking primarily, when we talk about culturally relevant, we're not talking about just about the Black experience, we're talking about whoever you are. So in my school, I've got Asians, I've got Southeast, I've got, West Indians and so forth. And so we want to make sure that when we're giving them things, it has to be culturally relevant to them, that they can see themselves and be able to identify aspects of who they are in what they're reading, and also needs to be critical where they can ask questions and start to think beyond just the words on a page, but more how it impacts them and where they come from. So those are some of the things we're seeing that's starting to engage them.
As a matter of fact, Courtney, what you just said, and I'm going to ask Sylvan's son. Savannah, can you put the 10 principles up on the page for a second while we're talking? Because I think if people can kind of see, because we're touching on a lot of them, on the 10 principles, and if people could kind of see what we're talking about, is there a way you can post it real quick for us? So do that, and I'm just going to share with Courtney some of the things that Mancil is talking about and Antoine are talking about, dealing with actually Mancil, we're talking about racial issues. And what you were talking about, the diversity of students, I was sharing with him that we do a program called Pulling the Race Card, where we get kids together and talk about things. Because a lot of times, most of our problems is because misunderstandings, not understanding a person's culture or not understanding a person's race. And by getting kids together and allowing them to talk about things and discuss different topics and issues, and I have a deck of cards that I've got from some ladies who created it, and I'll share that with you as well. I think that might be something that you might be able to use with your students as well. Do we have Wane back again? Wane, come on, man. I'm trying to get you in on this.
Yes.
Wane, so talk to us. What are some of the problems you're seeing with your program, and what are some of the benefits you're seeing with your program?
With the problem, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay. As the problem we face, we have some challenges in boys when it comes you want to convince like their caregivers to send them to school, because you can meet someone, maybe 5 street kids. You start firstly to know how they live, where they live. When you understand all the facts that maybe they are in the street, they don't have anyone to support them, you have to take them. You go to the chairman of the village, because here it is about zones, because it's a refugee camp. You talk with the chairman, they give you permission to say that Changiya has registered like 5 street kids. These street kids, they are orphans. Now from there, you take the boys, you start now working on their psychology, because their psychology is not normal, because they are already affected with the life, with the main thing, because life of camp is not easy. When you found someone, a boy who has like 5 years old, 7, 8, 10, at 11 p.m. you can find a boy wandering in the zone at night. It is very, very bad. But we took that occasion to say that we can support them, even if we don't have enough funds, but we can do what we can. And when they come now at school, they may find other students who are based at home. They have parents. They are used to start now to study without any problem. But because the new one, they came from the community, the street kids, they have troubles. To be familiar to others, it is not easy. You have now to at the first we were separated them. They have their class, but for now we start now mixing them, because for working on their intelligence. Now after that we focus on feeding program. We said when it reach at 12 p.m. now they have to go home and come back like at 2 p.m. But we said when we leave them at 12 p.m. and they will be back at 2, most of them they cannot back. They will be wandering in the zone, on the village, maybe in the bush. Now we said for fighting this, we have to provide for them food. At 12, they have to eat rice and beans. Then we work on it. It is now like 1 year we are working on that project of feeding them. Now we see like even if there is some challenges which come, but we found solution to overcome it, because it was not easy to prepare this and to call caregivers, to call parents, to talk about it. And even if we can say it is a holiday, a national holiday in Uganda, but their parents and caregivers, they push us to not stop school, to arrange like a vacation. They call it a it is like a holiday, but children, they will be coming at the center. They read books. Then we provide like any facility, any teacher who can come to try to help them while reading the books. And then it's reach at the time for feeding program, they can take something. We take that strategies to see how it can reach even at 4 p.m., 4:30, they will be back at home. And when they reach at home, it will remain a few hours, and it reach night time. They cannot move a lot, and in the morning they will be again at the center. And with that strategies we took, we are seeing how the changes. Even the street kids now they have that spirit for coming early at school to study. They have that motivation because they are used now as others, like other students. Now I think the strategy which we took with other.
Hold on for your strategies, because we're gonna come to that question in a second. So I don't want you to jump ahead of us on that question, Wayne. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on to your strategy. Now I'm just going to close out this question here, the one we were just talking about, because I've heard a couple of different things from people. And I was saying earlier that the programs that we do is physical, personal, and financial development. And I heard Mancil saying, and also Courtney saying that, working with the kids in the schools is trying to get them motivated to do the work that needs to be done, or reading, whatever. And one of the things, I don't know if you ever noticed or have you paid more attention to it or what's going on, what we found with a lot of the programs that we work with, hygiene and nutrition plays a major factor in a child's education. If it, like Wayne was saying earlier, trying to feed the kids before they go home, because they may not get a meal when they get home, or a kid that comes in and his hygiene may be an issue. Are you dealing with any of those kind of things? And this is a side question I'm actually going to let you guys answer, because this is something that, like I said, we address in our program. Now, just wondering if you guys are seeing those same issues where you are. First, I'm going to go to Mancil. So we're going to talk about, I just want to ask that question. That's a side question here. Are you having or seeing an issue with hygiene and nutrition playing a part in the programs that you're doing? Are you seeing any issues with that? Did we lose Mancil? Oh, there he is.
No, I'm still here. Yeah. Well, the first thing I'd say is a lot of indigenous communities, they don't have clean water. A lot, so like, I forget the exact number. I wish I had the statistic, but there's no clean running water, so no hot showers or what have you. So with Men of the North, what we do is we provide food, snacks, and a warm environment. And if any gentlemen or young men need anything, they can always ask, and we'll provide, hygiene products. So as we all keep mentioning, food is a very simple solution to getting one's attention, getting one's time. It's very, it's what we use anyways, a fresh meal and plenty of snacks.
Great. And see, that's why I said I wanted to bring that up, because a lot of people may not even realize that's going on in your area, and see, that's the thing that, I found that those are some of the main issues that a lot of our kids face, is getting up in the morning, and sometimes your kids are teasing them because they may have the same clothes on for 2 or 3 days, or,
Exactly.
may not have eaten before they went to school, or know they're not going to eat when they get home. Where are we? Antoine, talk to me.
So for me, we do not have an issue with our programming with kids that are currently in our program, but I will say that there's a group within our community that is affected by that, and that is actually the group that we really want to connect with more, and that's kind of our other mission and our objective. But directly, no. Indirectly, yes.
We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. I just said I'm not going to belabor my answer, because, like I said, directly no, but indirectly yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go to Courtney, then I'm gonna go back to then back to Wane. So Courtney,
So in
are
the
you seeing-
school, I just want to clarify for everyone, I don't have a program that's running per se. As I said, I'm the principal of a school and my other stuff is my business. But when it comes to nutrition, that plays a huge role. One of the things I'm very fortunate about is we've got a snack program at our school. We know that many students, as Willie has just mentioned, come to school impoverished, just don't have the wherewithal. We see food price and going up, and that's impacting a lot of families. So every year we do fundraisers and we do food drops to the families and to the communities that we serve. But we have a rich snack program that we get some donation from the Toronto Foundation for Student Success. Every child gets a snack, regardless if they can contribute financially or not. And also there's always extra snack left over. So there's always food for our kids, and we know it plays an important role in whether or not they can attend to the lessons at school. As far as the hygiene goes, when I was in the middle school, we certainly saw hygiene being an issue. That was really just around students just not understanding the importance of showering. They play all day, and you kind of coach them about why it's important to shower and use deodorant and so forth. We do have hygiene products, especially for young girls who are going through that stage of transition to young women, and we do have soap and body sprays and so forth for our kids. So we're very fortunate that way, and I think the TDSB has done a great job this year in helping those communities.
You are fortunate, because a lot of schools and organizations don't get those kind of products for their students, and the student gets targeted for those issues of hygiene. Just a suggestion, I'm going to come to you next, Wane, with that same question, but just a suggestion for people who are in need of like hygiene and things like that, go to your local hotels, motels, and ask them would they be willing to donate. I've gotten soap and toothpaste and all kind of things, because they have so much of it, being a hotel, that they will donate those things to you. And so go and just ask them and see if they can donate some things, and tell them what your program is and what you're doing, and get some donations from them, so that way you can put little kits together and provide them to your people if you need them. Wane, so talk to me.
Yes, about agent, for us also, we support it. We support the hygiene. But here it is a big challenge also. When you can understand about a refugee camp, it is something which it's not easy.
Right.
Because we have a problem of sanitation first. The water which we drink, it is not clear, it is not good. But we all do our, because at the center we have to do ourselves to clear what can I say, to make sure that the hygiene for our kids, our boys, to be safe. Because when it is the hygiene, it is not good, every time they will be sick. And we provide someone like a cleaner, a water transporter, the one who will be every day go to the lake to bring like a per day with 20 liters of water, mean 20 jerry cans. Now, when he every day he brought like 20 liters of water, and the cleaner is there, and we all found the way to. There is something we put inside there. I don't know how I can say it in English. For protecting like the bacteria when children they go at the
like a filter or something.
Yes, at the toilet, to avoid some bacteria, and we focus on it. But we are trying how we can dig. We can search at our place to dig, to see how we can get the water from a hole, because here there is a way you can dig and find the water. inside. Yeah. Then we are planning about it because getting a water point, it is very far. There is water points, but it is very far. And when you said, let me go at the water point to be a member there, you have to pay. And we don't have enough funds to do it because we are still looking support from NGOs, from different peoples, and some people. There are some people who still provide this equipment, material things for children, for orphans. Yeah, there is some people who said, no, this time I'm the one who will provide education issues for children. And I send the list of orphans, then they will send money, we buy it. And about things of sanitation, because I'm always, every time we are talking about it, because it is an issue which we still have, because we don't have enough fund to say we can bring a water point in our place. But the solution which we can do is to take someone who will be there present to be getting water, to be going fetch water at the water point, because there it is like a clear to bring at us, but we have to pay him like monthly. And when we count the staffs which we have now 16 staffs. With this 15 staff, when all their volunteers, all their aim is for saving our communities, it will be very difficult to say someone who is an actor of sanitation to say, come here to help us like this, without getting something to put like money, paying like that. For us, it's like a challenge. That's why we provide to ourselves, like to say this week, 2 people, they will be, even if they are teachers, they will be in charge of water at the school. And we thank God because everyone accept to do it, because they know what they are doing. They are saving our communities because of the challenges we are facing. But we are still calling people, NGOs, to come to support Changiya with our visions, with what we want to put for the change of our communities.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I can say for this preparation for tomorrow, because for us it will be tomorrow, for the boy's child, it will be tomorrow. This side, we are planning. We have even putting like announcements, tells people, parents to come at the center.
Okay.
To see what they are.
That's one of the questions, man. Hold that thought. Some of your techniques. That's gonna be our next question. So hold that one for a second, and we're gonna come back to you again. All right. So our next question is, what are some of the unique techniques you are using to help address literacy problems in your community with your boys or with your youth in general? So what are some of the unique techniques you are using to help with your literacy problems in your community? And we're going to go with Mancil.
All right. Some unique techniques. Whenever I speak a lot of my time is volunteer work. I'm still young. I'm still getting into this field of public speaking and narrating and what have you. So a lot of my time is volunteer time, and I go to these schools. I'll speak and directly speak with the youth. Communicate with them, substitute classrooms, so that way I'm directly interacting with them. And I find a lot of things I do, I bring a different aspect to things, right? I'll play music while they're doing quiet time or studying. I'll speak directly from the heart. I'm always truthful when it comes to youth, and just everyone in general. And whenever I do these public speakings, I share what I'm writing and share what I share what I feel they need to hear from an adult, right? Because we've all been in that situation of that time of high stress, that high anxiety, right? And that stuff stays with you if you don't talk about it, right? So a lot of the alternative techniques that I'm trying to use or do to advocate for literacy is project myself. That's what I do, because I'm the one that would want to listen to music while studying. I'm the one that would want to hear, different aspects from different perspectives from life.
Great, great. So now we're going to go to Antoine. Share with
Yes.
us what are some of the unique techniques you're using with your programs and in the areas of literacy, or just in your programs?
Yes. So I think for me, it wouldn't be unique, but I guess just because it's what I do and it comes naturally. So it's all about connecting for me. And once I'm able to connect with kids, it's about finding out what makes them tick, how to connect with them, how to get them to learn, how to make them think for themselves. One of the best examples I can give you, as you asked a question, I'm like, oh, I got one, and I think you'll appreciate this one. Doing a private lesson with a young lady, we just started talking about money for some reason. And we started talking about counting. I said, what I find interesting is when I go to a store and when I give cash, and if it's a young person, I always watch how many times they look back at the register to find out how much money to give back to me. Because guess what? They don't know how to count money. So they use the screen to tell them. So I asked her, I said, well, let me quiz you. If I bought something for $11.49, I gave you a $20 bill, how much would you give me back? Well, of course, she was dumbfounded. So we stopped her lesson and went over to the whiteboard, and I taught her how to count money. So that was a basketball lesson that she signed up for, but she left with a math lesson. So that's just one example of how connecting with kids and having conversations with them, find out what they're lacking and how you can connect with them. She was all about it. And 2 years later, she posted on social media about, I'd made a post, and she commented, I still remember the day you taught me how to count money. So that's just one example of how teaching that part of it. The other is you don't realize what you're teaching kids till you see the results sometimes. And for me, it's about, I've put a lot of emphasis on accountability and responsibility. And the basketball team I coached this year are 12 and 13-year-old boys. And we have our team mission was team before self. And we had a young man that broke a team rule. And I knew nothing about it. And the only reason I found out about it was because one of the 8th graders came to me and said, Coach, we had a guy that broke team rule. And I'm like, whoa, you're telling on your teammate. I love it. So he says, I asked him, what do you think we should do about it? And without hesitation, he says, make him sit in the bleachers and watch us run. I said, what? Make him sit in the bleachers and watch us run. And I'm like, wow, I love that. I said, I love that so much. I'm going to use that as my punishment for the team. And if you guys want to employ any other disciplinary action, that's your choice. So make the young man sit in the bleachers, and I make these guys run. And I don't mean once or twice. I mean, they were gassed when it was done. So afterwards, they go to the locker room to have a team meeting, and they come out. One of the kids said, Coach, we talked about it, voted on it, and it was unanimous that this young man will not dress out for our next game, nor will he obviously not get to play or dress out for the game. And I'm like, that's fine, team decision. But these are 12 and 13-year-old boys taking on the responsibility of holding each other accountable. And this just was taught through our day-to-day interactions and me asking questions and not just saying do. You ask, what they think, and they adopted that mentality. And as a coach, that's what you want kids to do. Think for themselves, make decisions, and hold each other accountable. So those are a couple examples I can give you.
Great. Courtney, what about you? Do you have any unique techniques you're using in your schools with your students?
I can't speak to unique. Antoine, I love that story. That's priceless. And that's a great story. Again, that shows your leadership and what you're trying to raise young leaders. So that's great. As for myself, I'm not impacted. I'm not in the classroom. One of the things I try to do, as I said, is lead by example. In the past, we used to have the capacity to come together and meet prior to COVID, and I've always ran student leadership group at my school. We've not been able to do that because we've not been able to come together in a closed setting in the school. What I do, as I mentioned earlier, is to find resources that engage the readers and let them see themselves reflected in the curriculum. We have conversations around issues that are relevant to them in their communities. And the challenge we've got is not every teacher is committed to that. Not every teacher is committed to talking about equity and inclusion, with their children. When we look at our schools predominantly female heavy, especially in the early years where I'm teaching grade 1 to 5, kindergarten to grade 5. So in my school, there's one male teacher out of 15 teachers, right? And outside of that male teacher, I'm the only other male in my building. We're attached to a daycare, which is all females. And so you're getting young men who are growing up without any influence or any modeling, especially when it's critical time for them to have those role models in their lives. So through my leadership and making sure that teachers are buying the right resources and also impacting and pushing it out in the classrooms through debates, those are the only things I've been able to do. I've gone into the classrooms at times and taught. I think the kids love that, and I enjoy that as well because I miss that engagement with the kids, as Antoine talked about. So it's just really just trying to preach the message to the staff. Asking kids to make sure that they open their voices because their voice is powerful, and we need to also take their lead at times about where we go with the curriculum. And those are some of the things that I try to do in the limited capacity that I have.
So Courtney, are the schools back in there? Because I heard you say there's a.
Yeah, we've been back. As far as like getting together in closed spaces, that's still optional.
Oh.
And in my role as a school principal, I can't lead those anymore. Simply for, I'm outside during recesses, I'm outside during lunches. There was never any really good time for me to be able to strip myself away from managing the building to have a 40-minute slot with kids without having something else interrupt me that I need to, manage. So it's been very challenging to do that when you don't have those others in the school who are willing to take on those leadership roles.
Yeah. So that a problem there is just getting others to commit to do some of the things that would work out.
Yeah, meaningful impact. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So Wane, talk to me. What are some of the unique techniques you're using with your young men and the people that your youth that you're working with?
Sorry, repeat again.
Some of the unique techniques, because you were about to go into that earlier about some of the different ways you're doing things to work with your students or your young people.
Okay.
Or the refugees.
For what is very unique for us here is about the collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's about the collaboration because we have put the community labor first. We have we have a weekly meeting with our teachers because we need to see what is the progress, because all what we do, it's about volunteering, because no one who has money for giving them, because about it is something which is beneficial, it is volunteer. That is why we always sit together, then we talk with community labor, then we involve community in all what we do at the school, because they are the one who sent their children, and they accept that the activity to be done. That is why, because it is a free school, no one who is paying. That's why we decide to take that strategy to be involved our community, means the parents, the caregivers, everyone who has a child at the school is involved when we have a meeting for how we can work, for how the progress of Changiya will be like that. It is the only strategy we still have up to now. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to share a little bit about the programs I mentioned earlier with the programs that we do. And what we use in our programs, which is unique, I was saying earlier, is that we use what is called right brain learning. Some people call it kinesthetic learning, but it's called right brain learning, where we use audio, visual, audio tapes, videos, and things like that, and then oral presentations. And so I think that's what makes our program so unique. Prior to the pandemic, we were in 7 schools. And that's how we got through to a lot of the students. And that was mostly 5th. We did a lot of 5th and 7th graders. We did 2 high school out of those programs, but most of them were 5th and 7th, 5th to 7th grade, 5th to 8th grade, actually, 5th to 8th grade. And then we did 2 high school programs. But we found that through the use of audio and visual and oral presentations, that's where we were able to get, and we normally would get kids who are the kids were getting suspended and, you know, having those issues, because what do? They act out because they can't, or they don't want to do the work in the classroom because it's boring to them, or because they're having that reading or writing problem. They'll act out, so the teacher will throw them out of the classroom, or they'll get suspended. And so we found they found that putting them in my programs that allowed them to, you know, improve a big improvement. Also, specialized skills we look at. So a lot of times you have a kid, he might be good at painting, drawing, working on cars. You know what I mean? He may work with an uncle and do construction. But if you were to give him that same information on a sheet of paper or on a book, he couldn't tell you anything about how to do it. But hands-on, and that's what you find with a lot of boys. Boys are very hands-on. So finding what their specialized skills are, and sometimes just focusing on them and helping them, you know, remembering that that skill is theirs, and bringing them information about that, you know, whether it's a video or a YouTube video or something where they can see it, and then actually giving them something, a little bit of writing in it. So again, what is it doing? It's helping them to practice their writing and their reading on that subject, which is something that they're interested in. So those are some of the unique techniques that we do in my program. So the next question, what else can we do to help improve the literacy and some of the other issues that our young men are facing? And we're going to go to Mancil. You're always first, Mancil.
Yeah, that's all right. I'm okay with that.
So what can we do to help improve the literacy and some of the other problems that our boys are facing?
See, I've got a problem with the word literacy, because when
that's why I said that stuff, because it says literacy. I just want to change that out.
No, it's okay. That's part of my topic. Is when we say literacy, we're trying to say, you know, we immediately think reading and writing, but it's so much more than that, right? Because a literate person nowadays, they have to possess the ability to identify, they have to comprehend, they have to interpret, they have to create and communicate. That's what a literate person is now. You are very well articulate, right? And so it's kind of led to this new age of literacy, like emotional literacy and social literacy, being able to understand yourself and being able to understand society, right? So we have to teach that. We have to teach kids to be reflective and perceptive of themselves and society. Because once we have literate boys, then we have a greater chance to rise above all the ignorance and hate in the world, right?
Okay. Antoine.
Yes, Mancil, I love that explanation. I think that's so true. And when I think about what we can do to better, the first thing is what we're doing now is having a discussion. That's the first thing, because we have to grow it. That's a big part of it, and bringing on more people that can support and get ideas and share ideas. But there are 3 components that I think are really important, and it's a foundational program that I've developed, and it is an approach to everything that we need to be teaching young boys and young girls as well. And the first word is simplicity. Keep the process simple, because as we mentioned earlier in the conversation, life itself for young people is already complicated enough, and you throw in the component of COVID and coming over it, not only the beginning and going through it, but coming out of it is complicated enough. So keeping the process simple, I think, is really important. The reinforcement of home, and I think Courtney made reference to this as well early in his first part, was we have to, parents have to support kids when they can. And it's also setting the kids up to make themselves successful. We can't do everything for them. So that's where that simplicity comes in. The second word is the effort that's applied to that simplistic approach. Applying maximum effort is how kids are going to stay on track. So keep the process simple and apply maximum effort. But the last component, to me, is the most important, and that has to do with the attitude in that approach. And it has to be a positive attitude. It has to be positive reinforcement. And as long as the simplicity, effort, and attitude, you put all that together, that equals the C of success. The simplicity, effort, and attitude of success for young people is how they're going to be successful and how we can support them in being successful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Courtney. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Hi guys.
there's-
Sorry, I was going to jump in at the end, but unfortunately I have to run. I have a family emergency. So my normal position with Voice Men 360 is the Indigenous Program Coordinator, but I'm actually here wearing my everyday hat, which is a children's author with a specific series of books that is targeted for mainly Indigenous boys, but I am one of very few authors who have a boys series specific targeted towards boys. All of you guys are doing great work. On the back of each one of my books, I just will read what's on the back so you guys kind of get an idea from an education standpoint for the little guys. And on every one of the back of the Jane Gizmo books, it says books for young and early school aged boys. Education research has shown the #1 predictor that children will experience long-term success in school is the level of reading readiness that they already have when they begin school. The research shows that young boys who have provided with books have specific characteristics are likely to have a higher level of reading readiness when they begin school. So those characteristics are: 1, boys that have male as center characters; 2, boys that the boys actually own in the books, like that ownership, they need to have that. Even if they can't read yet, they need to have that ownership. 3 is books that contain action, adventure, and problem solving by boys. 4, books that portray central character modeling behaviors such as reading, problem solving, searching for, and applying knowledge. And 5, books in which the vocabulary allows them to reach boys by their parents in the early years, by boys themselves once they begin to read for themselves. So as we see, as we get older siblings, older parents, grandparents, and that reading to the younger ones, they pick up on this literacy. One of the problems we have for Indigenous communities is access to books. That's one thing that I talk about all over the place, is that a lot of the conversation today, I've heard water issues, I've heard poverty, I've heard all of those kind of issues from every man sitting at this table. One of the issues I know as an Indigenous female in our community is access to books. We don't have libraries. Not all of our schools have libraries inside of it, and we certainly do not, most reserves do not have bookstores where a child could just go in and pick a book. So one of the things we have done to help out with the Adventures of Jane Gizmo is we have a literacy project we do where people can actually buy the books, and it's gifted to other Indigenous children across Canada. And we make sure that it gets to them. We're very active amongst many communities. So the reason I popped in today is just from the Jay and Gizmo Adventure side, I wanted to let all of you guys know, with celebrating the Day of the Boy Child and everything, one thing that Voice Men 360 is going to do is we are going to run a project to get books into the hands of boys, especially ones that are in poverty, the ones that are in Indigenous communities, the ones that do not have access to books. And we really would like to get these male-centered focus books, whether it's Jane Gizmo or other male-centered books, out into communities. So that is one thing us as Voice of Men 360 have come together and committed, that we will really put forward a really good effort on getting books into the hands of our little guys. Because if we start at our little guys too, that helps engage our older guys. And then it kind of goes back and forth. So I just wanted to jump in, let you guys all know you're doing an amazing, amazing job. Great work, every single one of you. From an Indigenous children's author perspective, dealing with little guys, great job. Because you know what? Even those youth boys, those men, they turn around with all your hard work and they bring their literacy back to their boys, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's reading, all those types of literacy. So I was really super excited to hop in here and just let everybody know that, yes, we are announcing Voice Men 360 will be doing a project to get boys literacy.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. Who else where were we? I'm sorry, did we do you, Courtney?
No, I was next before Christy, so
okay.
Thank you. I can't say much more than what Mancil has said and what Antoine has said. I think one of the things that comes to my mind, where do we go from here? If any of you have read the book by Darren Hardy, The Slight Edge, I think really this is what it's about. It's about the small things we do on a daily basis and the compound effect of those things when it comes to raising young men. And I agree with everything that Mancil said. It's not just about reading and writing. It's about communication. It's about taking accountability and responsibility. Like Antoine said, our boys need mentoring. And when we model that for them, and if it's being modeled in the home and we get teachers to buy in, and again, I'm speaking from a teaching standpoint, and they're consistently showing these models to kids on a daily basis, the compound effect over time. Antoine said it earlier. You don't often see the fruits of your labor. Sometimes you think you're speaking to a stone and it's not getting through. But over time, that consistency, and kids come back to you and say, you remember that time you said this to me, right? I had a child that reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. His mom passed away and I taught him in grade 7, which was going back about 15 years ago. And his girlfriend reached out to me on social media. Could you speak with him? He speaks about you all the time, right? So we have an impact on our kids long after they've left us. And so it's up to us to really just, try to keep on instilling those pieces in them. It is being heard, right? It may not manifest itself in what they are doing in front of us all the time when we're giving that lesson, but those consistent pieces over time has a dramatic impact on their lives, whether we see it later on or not.
Well, Courtney, I think you actually jumped to our next question, but that's actually good. Because the question was, I think what you were answering was, where do we go from here? And I think that's where that's going to be our next question. I was going to have Wane. Is Wane still with us? I'm looking at. Okay, so I was going to have. Is Wane still with us? Okay, so I was going to have Wane. What else can we do to help improve? But also, where do we go from here? And then I'm going to go around to everybody else and ask that same last question: is where do we go from here? And I want to touch on what you said, and Courtney, and with Antoine regarding the mentoring, because I think that's very important, that from some of the things you guys are saying. So Wane, talk to us about what else can we do to improve? And where is he?
Yes.
Okay, what else can we do to improve our situations with our young men, whether it's literacy or whatever, and the situation is, and where do we go from here? And then I'll go to Mancil from there.
Yeah. Firstly, I have some points. Firstly, we have to get people who will involve and act for the importance of literacy in boys' lives. That is the first one. The second is to funding support in education of the boys, including children in their education, I can say it, a school have to, we have to, having a school have to be, to have to provide a library. A library is one of the impacts of boys' literacy. Without a library at the school, it is very, very sad. because children, they will improve while reading. Lack of library, lack of books, or lack of reading books also affect their lives. When children, they don't read, you are there only teaching, but you don't tell them to read, to be at school, like weekend days. They come, they read. It cannot be good, because reading makes someone to improve. For me, I can say these things is very, very necessary. Yeah.
Wayne, I want to ask you a question. The books that you're using, what language are they in? Are they in different languages, or what language primarily are your books in that you're providing to your students?
Yeah, we provide English, but we don't have enough, but we provide English.
Okay. The reason
Because
why I was asking,
yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking you, if you see behind me, I have some books that I've written, and I want to make some arrangements to maybe send you a couple of my books that you can use with some of your students down there.
Yeah, books, it can be story books, can be any books which is educative, which they can read and improve.
Okay.
I'll
reach out to you after the show and get your information, and I'll see how we can make arrangements. I'll send you a couple of my books to hopefully you can use with your students to help them out. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great. Yes, sir. Okay. Great. So now, are we? How much time do we have left, Savannah? So I give our guys enough time to answer that last question.
Sorry. Yes, I have a question about where to send the videos, because if we can, you can put a link, it will be very, very nice for us.
Okay. So Mancil, where do we go from here?
I think I'd like to end my time by reading something from the perspective of both my grandfathers. Right. So It's titled, The Boy Who Can Express Yesterday Will Not Be the Man Who Can Speak Tomorrow. Why are the days so empty? Why can I see your face but not remember your name? I do not understand. I cannot accept who I am today. These hands, frail and old, have so much to tell, and yet they cannot. The stories of when I could laugh, never told. Why do the sounds of life yet speed up while I slow down? Why do I not get another chance? I do not understand. I cannot accept that my family has long left me here. These days long and cold have slow little color and so little light. The stories of when I was a good father and a good husband, never shared. Why am I so dull? Why is it when I look back at the long walk, there are no steps? I am lost, aren't I? I cannot accept that this is my fault. These emotions I feel, I wish I could understand them. They all bleed into the same mud that coats the disturbed canvas of my mind. Shades of childlike happiness and curiosity have long mixed and made ugly by frustration and loathing. The stories I wish my dad could have told me cannot help me now. The life my dad could have given me will always be a what if now. That's what I have to say. The lack of literacy can easily make us hateful and filled with just lost.
Wow, that was powerful, man. Definitely, that's a great way to close out. We're gonna have Antoine. We're gonna have you do your where do we go and your closing all in one. How's that? I'm gonna save you last, Courtney. I want you to go last. I want you to close us out big with that. So, Antoine, where do we go?
Mancil,
Give us
yeah, I was just gonna tell Mancil, I love that, man. That's powerful stuff right there. There's not really much. It's hard to follow that. Honestly, I'm just gonna end it with your question. To me, it really truly is about this platform and growing, not just here, but everywhere, because the more we spread the goodness of the work that we're doing and the impact that it's having, the more results and faster results we're going to get and lasting impacts we're going to get. Me here in the States, hearing a lot of what's happening outside, we have challenges here that would take me a week to go over, but growing the mission is the most important thing, and making the impact one child at a time is how it's going to be done. And thank you so much for the opportunity. It's a pleasure meeting all of you.
Great, thank you. Wane, Mr. Wane, you're gonna talk, you finish us up here. Where do we go from here, and give us your closing? Wane?
Thankful. Hello.
Yes, where do we go from here, and give us your closing?
Thanks so much. What I can say, I'm thankful to be part of this team today. It was been a while waiting for this day. For sure, I'm very, very passionate to work with you, to work with the community, to change boys' lives, to be part of this team for sure. I'm thankful. Just waiting for the celebration tomorrow. Now we are preparing some I don't know how to say it, mandazi. I don't know it in English, but it is something boys they will eat tomorrow. Yeah, because we cannot celebrate without getting something for them.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Courtney, we're going to have you close us out with your closing. And if you did want to go back into a little more about where we're going, you can do that as well.
Yeah, like, you know what, guys, thank you so much. This has been a very powerful platform, as just mentioned by Wane. Mancil, that poem was on point. Such a beautiful poem, man. So thank you for sharing that. You know, on this platform, you got individuals from all over the place, and this is the power of social media. You know, we can connect individuals all over the world when it's organized neatly. So here's what I'm thinking, and I gotta speak with what Antoine said. For this, there are lots of young men and young women out there who want to be in a mentorship role, who want to serve, right? Because they see the value, and they've also been impacted by others who believed in them and guided them. I'm one such individual. When I came here from Jamaica, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I came as, young ones with 4 kids. My mom had 4 of us, single parent, doing her thing, working 2 jobs. But I had a teacher in grade 8, and I was going the wrong way, not by the bad kid, but I made a bad decision, not to get me suspended, but below his expectations from me. And he said a couple of words to me that resonated with me. And he says, I expect more from you. And he was a teacher that I really looked up to. And when those words hit me, I understood that I was letting down someone that believed in me, that wanted to see me excel. And those words stayed with me as I went through school, right? And even as I went through my principalship, those were things I had when I sat with the superintendents of schools as far as why I wanted to be an educator and be a difference maker to students. So if we can find a way to engage more in our communities through social media, through marketing, this wonderful platform, that's what boys need. Not just boys, but young ladies. We're focusing on boys right now, but I think that's how we grow and that's how we impact others, because others want to serve in whatever little capacity they can. They've been impacted by others, and it's about service to others, paying it back, paying it forward. So I think if we can find ways to do that, Willie and Savam, this is what this is needed, I believe, and we'll grow.
Yes, sir. I don't see that when you said.
Okay, thank you very much and good afternoon. Okay. I must say, first of all, this is a very important initiative, and I'm glad to have been invited here by CVAM because I really enjoyed the information that was discussed. One of the things that I wanted to add, and I think one of you made the point about boys going to the library. Although it wasn't gender specific in my community, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, by the way. And in my community, we started this exchange book program. So there was something that was built like a tree house, and you put in a book, but it's an exchange program. So what you do, if you borrow a book, you also replace it with a book of your choice. And that the initiative behind that is to get children to read, so that if they do not like going to the library or they need encouragement in reading, they can come borrow a book that they see of interest, and they can also replace the book with something that they have at home. And I think that is a good initiative. It's an alternative in terms of getting kids to read or encouraging them to improve their literacy skills without having to go to the library if it's a scary place for them.
They're doing something like that in the States. They're putting these little boxes in front of people's home. People are putting them in front of their homes, and you can put books in, or you can take books out, like you were saying, Dr. Cummings. So, I mean, that is becoming a more popular thing for those kids who may not have access to a library, may not live close to one, or transportation to get to one. So that is another good idea that I see is starting to spread in a number of different places. I am going to give my little closing, and I just want to thank all of our panelists. I mean, this is great, and that's why I look forward to doing this thing, whenever they ask me if I'm available, because I get to meet so many men that are doing, and women that are doing so many things with our young people all over the world. And I used to always say I work with people around the country, but now I work with people around the world and meeting people around the world and seeing that it's not just in the States that are having these issues, but it's the world. It's the world. And if we can all collaborate and work together, we can make anything happen. And I want to close out with what Dr. Courtney said, because he said something that really hit home with me, is why I started my programs, is I always say boys and girls emulate what they see. And in the schools, they don't see men. They don't see us. They don't see us in the classrooms. They, like you say, you may see one man, and that may not be to the 8th grade or high school. And so they don't get to really get that mentorship. So what I've been doing, and what I always suggest to people, is we have to find those men's groups and bring them in and let the young men see them, because they see the drug dealers and they see the gangs and they see those things, of course. So what else can they emulate? They can only emulate those things that they see. But if we can reach out to our fraternities or our different men's groups, even go to the colleges and see what men's groups are there and invite them to come in and, you know, talk to our students and let them see and hear what they're doing. And, you know, that kid may even see a young man or a man that lived in their neighborhood and didn't even know they were in college or whatever that place may be. And that could encourage that young person to say, okay, I want to be like him. But they can't emulate what they see unless we bring them to them. We have to bring them in. They're not going to know where to go to look for a mentor or to see a positive role model. And some of these young people don't see they don't see a male role model until they get older. So Dr. Courtney, you may be the only person they see when they come to school. You know, you're that only male figure that they see, and they don't get to really bond with you. You know what I mean? Spend time with you like they would like to, because you're doing your role. So the only mentoring they get is from that female teacher or, you know, that they see. And then when they go home, who are they dealing with? Normally a female head of household. So we have to find ways to bring those men into the school, into those programs, and just continue to do the things that you guys are doing. I want to thank Savon and Voice of Men 360, because like I said, without them, we all wouldn't be here. We all wouldn't be able to exchange these ideas and help to build things that's going to help to build our young men and our communities. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out and being a part of this show. And I look forward to more of these conversations. And if I can, like I said, if I can be of help to any of you guys, please connect with me and let's see how we can make things work for the betterment of our young men and our young women in our schools, because without us, it's not going to happen. Thank you. you. Take care, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Recording stopped.